What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? This is going to be your review of the Real Housewives of Potomac season 4, episode 17. We are almost at the end. I think we got one more episode, and then the season is over. So look, y'all, we picked this episode up where we left off last week with Katie being missing. Now, Giselle, on one hand, I understood Giselle's concern, but on the other hand, Giselle did that thing that people do sometime when she's looking for Katie. Karen comes down, all that good stuff. She's called Robin. They called the boyfriend. And, nobody knows where Katie is. Ain't nobody found Katie. Nobody heard from Katie. And Karen comes down, and Karen was like, well, I'm really not shocked that she decided she didn't want to be with us anymore because, like I said, that whole conversation was really brutal. And I just saw the look in Katie's eyes when the conversation was going on. And, of course, Ashley is standing there like, okay, damn, here we go again. And so Giselle gonna say, well, we'll go look for Katie, speaking for Karen. Now you speaking for Karen. Karen ain't said nothing about going to look for Katie. Karen done already told you that she's not surprised and she's really not worried because she really feels like Katie voluntarily chose to leave. Whereas Giselle's assuming the worst, that somebody then came and kidnapped Katie. Katie fell out somewhere, like, I don't know. So Giselle gonna say, well, me and Karen gonna go look for Katie. Karen said, nah, I'm gonna go get me my tea. I'm gonna go get my morning tea, and I'm gonna call Katie. Because Karen, I guess in her mind feels like she gonna respond when I call. Like, I ain't worried about her not answering my phone call. She gonna respond when I call. So Giselle gets pissed off, like, oh, well, fine, and go have your tea. She was like, I will. Now, my thing is this. You had Ashley, you had Candace sitting right in your face. You done already told Robin to meet you downstairs. Why are you so fixated on what Karen getting ready to do? Anyway, then so when Robin comes down, they go back down to the front desk, and excuse me, the lady at the front desk was like, oh, your security found him. And at first I thought they were talking about security for the hotel found her. They were talking about security for the show found her. Katie at the airport. Katie's leaving. And they done gave themselves away because they tried, y'all know they tried to pretend like Robin paid for this trip. We know good and damn well Robin ain't paid for this trip. Because they said that what happened was when Katie tried to change her ticket, the um travel agency alerted the show. Now, if Robin had booked this trip and everything was in Robin's name, they would have alerted Robin. But neither here nor there. Ain't nobody believe that Robin really booked and paid for this trip anyway. So, but it was just really funny that they didn't edit that part out because they could have easily just edited that out. But neither here nor there. Katie is back at the she's at the airport and her ass is flying home. And what a lot of you guys put in my comments, which I didn't know, was that, excuse me, y'all, Katie probably was pregnant at this time because we know that what you guys told me, and I went back and looked. Katie did have a miscarriage. She was 5 months pregnant. She ended up having a miscarriage, and the timeline would have sort of would have coincided. So I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that maybe this was what happened with Katie, but neither here nor there. Katie is gone. We don't see her the rest of the trip. And the rest of this episode, for the most part, are the ladies going on these excursions, okay? A few little things went down, so I'm going to go over that, but this probably ain't going to be real long. Monique is still in, still in Maryland. We see them going fishing, and them babies ain't having it. They ain't a bit more concerned about catching fish than the man in the moon. And, I mean, kids, for the most part, fishing is an acquired taste. You know what I'm saying? It's an acquired taste. But they're on the when they're on the bus headed to their excursion, the conversation sort of goes back to Ashley a little bit, and Ashley being really harsh about how she was talking to Katie. And I know Ashley is getting sick of feeling like, well, dang, like, okay, so I yelled at her, but dang. So the excursion is that they're getting on the horseback. They're going horseback riding. And Ashley said she ain't going horseback riding because Ashley said that she does not agree with humans using animals for pleasure. And so But it's okay to okay. But I think Ashley's a vegetarian too. She doesn't eat meat either. So okay, cool. So she didn't get on the horse, and then Giselle's horse was acting up, so Giselle got off the horse. So they played in the water while the rest of the ladies went horseback riding. It wasn't very eventful. It was nice. It was cool. Then they went to lunch, and while they were at lunch, honey, uh, they got to talking about what did they talk about at lunch. I'm trying to remember. This is the lunch. I think this. No, this is when I think the conversation came up again around about Ashley and how she was talking to Katie or whatever. I don't think that happened on the bus. I think that happened at lunch. The ladies go back to the hotel. Did they go on another excursion? Where half the ladies went on the underground, went on the submarine that goes underwater. The other ladies did the little caves. And again, everybody is having a great time, right? We're all having a good time. Ashley is even talking about her and Karen are doing so well and everything is so great until they getting ready to get on, till they getting ready to go back into the hotel. They about to go back into the hotel, honey. And hold on, I just want to make sure I'm not missing nothing, y'all. Hold on, because this episode really didn't give you a whole lot, to be honest with you. But I want to make sure I'm not missing anything before we get to the big blow up, because it's really the biggest part of the episode. Candace and Karen, I mean Candace and Giselle had a decent conversation on the submarine where Candace was saying how, she really just still feels like Ashley's lying to everybody and Ashley this and Ashley that. And Giselle of all people said, well, you know what? At a certain point, it's just not our business anymore. If Ashley wants to pretend like everything is great and life is so good and lovely, then just gotta let her. We just gotta let her do it. We just gotta let her have it. And Candace was like, I mean, I guess she's right. No, she's right. And I don't know why Giselle of all people was saying it, because we know Giselle is a busybody like the rest of them. But at a certain point, we just it is what it is. You just gotta let if Ashley want to live like that, and that's how Ashley feels, then that's how Ashley feels. That's what she want to live with. Giselle carried another bone. What did she say? She did something, y'all. Damn it. See, this episode didn't do nothing for me, so I'm trying to remember. Guess I should have took good notes, because I didn't, because it didn't do nothing for me. Giselle carried a bone when they were at dinner about. I'm gonna check. Hold on. I'm gonna find out what this bone was. All right. So the bone that was it was irking me. The only it wasn't as big as I thought it was. The bone was they were at dinner and everybody was chilling. They called Monique to check in, and Candace made it seem like Ashley ran the child out the Caymans, which I mean I don't think that was really what the bulk of it was. I don't think that helped, but I really think Katie wasn't feeling well, and I think Katie knew she was pregnant or strongly suspected it, and she just didn't want to be in that environment. I just believe that's what it was. But of course, here comes Giselle bringing it up, talking about some. I mean, I felt some kind of way earlier when I felt like you were blaming Ashley for Katie leaving, and Karen was like, "Look, Ashley came at her pretty hard, and it was hard to watch and it was hard to see, and I do think that had something to do with it. But they did talk through it, and again, Ashley and Karen have been having a really good time until they get back to the hotel, which we about to get to now. The only other thing that really went down at dinner was Karen demonstrating how she be tonguing down Ray, which did nobody need to see or need a demonstration of at all. Now, they getting ready to go back into the hotel, and Ashley is like, Karen, I've had such a great time with you. I'm glad that everything is going really well for us. I'm glad things are really good. And Karen waits until they're off camera. Now, mind you, Karen, y'all still mic, girl. Because she's talking about something. I want to say this away from them, meaning away from the cameras, but you are still mic'd. And so they played the whole conversation for us. And Karen went on to talk to Ashley about basically saying that she still believed that Michael was guilty and that charges being dropped is not a vindication. It's not, it's not saying that he was innocent. It's just saying that they dropped the charges. And, Karen went on to just basically say, I just want to be honest with you about that. So, of course, Ashley went off. Ashley was like, So you're saying you think he's guilty. Like, that's what you're saying. And Karen was like, somebody who's been through what I've been through, we know Karen has been raped. She was like, it's just not clear. And just because the charges were dropped, it is not saying that he is innocent. He said that when you guys were on, she said, when you guys were on Fox 5, first of all, they had to get out the lobby because how about people had complained about them acting a fool in the lobby when they first got there. So they had to get out the lobby to finish this conversation, and they were in Robin's suite. And Ashley was going off, which in this case I kind of understood because it's like, first of all, it's over. It happened. It's done. Second of all, y'all were having a good time. And all Ashley was saying was, I'm glad that we've gotten past everything. I'm glad that we had a good time and we're in a good place. And she decides to bring up this whole thing about, well, I don't really think that he's innocent. And, the charges being dropped is not him being cleared. Like, you could have kept all that to yourself. Now, the next day, she explained a little bit better why she did what she did. But Giselle, of all people, had to talk to her about her delivery. Not what she was saying so much as the delivery of it. But, honey, Ashley was slam off. Like, I really think Ashley was about to put her hands on Karen. Because she started walking up on Karen. The Karen was like, hold up, I'm not Katie. You going to back up off me? You gonna back up off me. But Karen ain't back. Karen ain't back. Ain't walking back. She stood right there, and when Ashley walked up on her, she ain't take a step back. She was like, "What you gonna do is stop walking up on me. You gonna stay over there." But Karen was like, when you were on Fox 5, what Michael said was that he touched that he did make contact and that the cameraman told him don't do that. She was like, why would the cameraman say don't do that if it was an accidental brush, like if it wasn't like something egregious, he wouldn't have said don't do that. And everybody is looking at Karen crazy. Everybody is like, Karen, what are you talking about? And Giselle tried to step in, and Karen told Giselle basically, you shut your ass up and stay out of it. I mean, it was bad. It was really bad. And I was sitting there like, Karen, what? And again, I see where Karen is coming. Well, let me get to that. So the next morning, it's their last day there. Everybody's kind of doing their own thing. I think they were doing a sunset cruise later on that night. But everybody during the day was kind of doing their own thing. And they showed what everybody was doing. Karen is out on the water. They saw Ashley walking in. But Giselle came to have breakfast with Karen and basically talked to Karen about. And that's when Giselle was like, well, it's not even so much what you said. It was your delivery, boom, boom, boom. Maybe you could have said it this way or you could have said it that way. You could have done it differently. And Karen was like, I hear you, but I feel how I feel. So Ashley and Karen ended up having a conversation. And Karen's explanation made a little bit more sense after the fact. What she said was, we are in a better place and we are becoming friends again or getting into a better friend zone. And I just want to be honest with you. I just need you to understand how I feel and that I can separate the two. I'm not going to hold what went on with Michael against me moving forward into my friendship with you. But I just felt like I can't be fake and phony. And I've said that to people. Like, if other people have said to me about Michael, I've said exactly to them what I'm saying to you. And so I want you to understand that this is what I was saying and how I felt. Like, I need you to understand that. And so when she explained it, I kind of understood a little bit better where she was coming from. Because she was like, look, so won't nobody come back and tell you what I said. I'm telling you what I said. And I'm telling you how I feel. So I kind of was like, okay, I see it. I still don't necessarily feel like it was necessary to go there, but okay, I see it. You know what I mean? Um, but that was pretty much it. They talked about it and it was a very contentious contentious reconciliation, so to speak. Because Karen stood in what she stood in, like she wasn't backing up off of it. Like she said what she said, she meant what she said. They went on a sunset cruise later on that night, and it was really nice. And they headed back to Maryland, honey. And the last thing we see is Ashley taking a pregnancy test because she thinks she might be pregnant. She said her period was late, her breasts were feeling were feeling sore, and so of course they're gonna carry that over to next week. Now, from the previews, I ain't gonna get into the previews. All right. So next week is the last episode of the season before we get to the reunion, honey. So we will see how it goes down. This was a short one, but let me know what y'all think. Drop it in the comments. Peace.